Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Spider-Man 2, starring Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Alfred Molina, and Rosemary Harris, and directed by Sam Raimi. This movie I was looking forward to when it was coming out in theaters, and when I saw it, I thought it was so good I ended up seeing it 15 times in theaters. Is it the same opinion now? Let's find out, shall we? I did end up watching the theatrical cut and the 2.1 cut. And yes, there's an 8-minute difference. I'll talk about them briefly. Some of them are noticeable more than others. Well, Mary Jane is an actress, while Peter Parker is working at a pizza place which he gets fired from later on in that scene, as well as the Daily Bugle. There were a couple of newly added scenes. One is one of the employees talking to his boss about how he can't understand him. Two is about Celine, who we briefly get a mention of being brought up and getting deported. And three is the difference on how the boss says go. We do get a cameo by an actress who will eventually be in the TV show Bones, aka Emily Deschanel, Zoe Deschanel's sister. It's nice to see a TV star in a comic book movie, especially in a Spider-Man movie. James Franco has a much stronger character than he did last time as Harry Osborn and wants Spider-Man dead because of his father being killed by Spider-Man, but doesn't know about his father, how his father did that death scene yet by the end of it. The editing in this movie, it isn't moving with the actors as they're speaking, and it cuts to them while talking, felt very distracting to me. Alfred Molina is introduced in the next scene where he works on his science project on how he gets the power of the sun in the palm of his hand. His wife, played by Donna Murphy, who will be eventually be known for her role as Rapunzel's mother in Tangled. I'll give both actors credit for acting as wife and husband. It's very believable. The effects look very good, and they hold up to this day, even back in 2004. It was believable. Mary Jane is kind of a bad actress in this play of the importance of being earnest, because she either gets distracted by her friends showing up or forgets her lines. Peter losing his web did happen in the comic books, and this is the movie's storyline in Spider-Man No More. Is actually the plot of this movie. The conversation in the elevator with Spider-Man and some other guy is extended in the 2.1 cut, whereas they only said a few things in the theatrical cut. There was no score in the beginning of the scene where Peter leaves Mary Jane a message about how he missed out on her play in the theatrical cut, but there is a score, and that was distracting in the 2.1 cut. When somebody says enemies in a Spider-Man movie, something tells me the next movie's gonna be bad. But it's been a while since I've seen Spider-Man 3, so we'll see. The robotic arms as Dr. Otto Octavius, played by Molina, or Alfred Molina, puts it on, is rather scary. Is a scary thing later in the film, the arms attack surgeons in a hospital. Now that is scary as hell because one of them is using nails to hang onto her ground, and one of them almost saws off the arm. And the arms, the rest of the arms, kill him off anyways. That's freaking creepy. Stan Lee's cameo saving some woman from a boulder while in the middle of an action scene was kind of clever. The fight scene from the bank to the building, ending with Aunt May getting to the ground, has some 2.1 extra scenes during the fight to get some action going, and to moving on to the party scene, which is kind of convenient, I guess. Am I the only one who thought Mary Jane was a major bitch to Peter and saying he's an empty seat? Like, if I were Peter, I'd just be like, you're no longer my friend, particularly since she's engaged to J. Jonah Jameson, aka his boss's son, John. Like, yeah, I'm alienating you for life. Last time I said Peter Parker, played by Tobey Maguire, was the best Spider-Man / Peter Parker. Here he's a little too melodramatic. I do like the song Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head from the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I thought that keeps Peter being happy for being normal. especially if he was getting yelled at by Mary Jane being the biggest bitch ever. I thought it was true in the comics that. But here's a weird scene in the 2.1 edition where JJ is pretending to be Spider-Man. That was awkward. Peter going into the fire like he did in the first movie, except there's no villain involved, was like, did we really need that again? Really? When Tobey Maguire tests his Spidey senses, fun fact, he actually broke his back while filming that scene. That looked like that could really hurt. There's a car that will be hitting the diner that looked like it was really dangerous to be filmed at this point. And Peter uses his Spidey senses during that scene. I was okay with it. The train scene had another 2.1 action extended scene, which slows the movie down quite a bit. The look on Harry's face when he finds out Peter is Spider-Man was actually priceless because he's shocked that it's his best friend. Just like, Pete. Doc Ock's arc in the movie is to make the power of the sun by using the tritium was a little bit weak. Mary Jane finding out Peter Parker is Spider-Man was like, oh, come on. It's better for her to keep her in the dark now is that his enemies will find out about her and hurt her to death. When Harry sees his father in the mirror is rather a scary but a really bizarre scene. Mary Jane is now a runaway bride. I felt very bad for John Jameson. But it's good for Peter, but I feel very bad for John at this point, because now he'll be a villain we'll never see in our lifetime. I can't remember which villain it is off the top of my head, but yeah, he will be at some point, if we ever get around to that. Now time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 7.9 out of 10. It's not as good as the first one for sure. It has good characters, but the kind of a weak story with Doc Ock. Now, as I'm thinking about it, Peter Parker / Spider-Man was better in the first one than in here. So I'll be back next week for Spider-Man 3, so until next time, with great power comes great responsibility.